Hi, I'm Cade. I never thought I'd be telling this story, but sometimes life has other plans. 6 months ago, my wife Melissa burst into our kitchen while I was making coffee, her face glowing with excitement. Cade, you're not going to believe this. She thrust a plastic stick in my face, her hands trembling. We're pregnant. I nearly dropped my mug. What? Are you serious? But we've been trying for 2 years, I know. She threw her arms around my neck. It finally happened. My best friend Marcus was the first person I called. We met at Brewster's, our usual spot, the following evening. Congrats, man. Marcus clinked his glass against mine. That's huge news. How are you feeling about it? Honestly, shocked. But in a good way, you know? After all the fertility appointments, we'd almost given up. Marcus's smile faltered slightly. Yeah, about that. When was your last appointment again? About 3 months ago. Doctor said my count was low but not impossible. Why? He shifted in his seat. Nothing, just curious. Melissa's been acting different lately. Rachel mentioned she's been going out a lot with that new coworker. What's his name? Dylan, I said, feeling something cold settle in my stomach. They're working on that big marketing project together. Right, Dylan. Rachel saw them at Shoreline last Friday. Said they looked close. What exactly did Rachel see? I pressed, my appetite suddenly gone. Marcus sighed heavily. She didn't want me to tell you this, but she saw them holding hands under the table. And at one point, Rachel swears she saw them kissing when they thought no one was looking. Maybe she misunderstood, I said, grasping for any alternative explanation. The lighting in that place is terrible. She took a picture, Cade. Marcus pulled out his phone reluctantly. I didn't want to show you this, but you deserve to know. The photo was grainy but clear enough. My wife leaning across a dimly lit table, her lips pressed against Dylan's. My world tilted on its axis. When was this taken? My voice sounded hollow, even to my own ears. Last Friday, around 11 p.m., she told me she was working late on a presentation. Marcus reached across the table, gripping my shoulder. I'm sorry, man. I really am. That night, I couldn't sleep. Beside me, Melissa's phone buzzed with a text. I'd never checked her phone before. Trust was our thing. But something about Marcus's words gnawed at me. The message preview showed, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." Last time was... I put the phone down, my heart pounding. The next morning, I called my sister Emma. I need to talk to you, I said. Something's not right with Melissa. Emma's voice came through sharp and clear. What's going on? Is it about the baby? That's just it. I'm not sure it is my baby. Cade, that's a serious accusation. What makes you think? She's been acting strange. Secret phone calls, working late with this guy Dylan, and honestly, the timing is suspicious. We've been trying for years with no luck. The next day I met Jen for coffee, claiming I wanted to surprise Melissa with lunch. So Dylan and Melissa have been working closely, right? I asked casually. Jen's eyes widened slightly. Yeah, they work together. Late nights at the office and all that? She fidgeted with her napkin. Cade, look, I don't want to get involved, but... She leaned forward, lowering her voice. Last month, they didn't stay late at the office. They checked into the Westview Hotel. I know because my cousin works there and saw them. The revelation hit me like a freight train. I spent the next week gathering information, starting with a call to my doctor. Dr. Phillips, I need to ask you something confidential. In our last fertility appointment, what exactly were my chances of conception? There was a pause on the line. Cade, with your count, it would be highly unlikely without medical intervention. Were you planning to discuss treatment options? No, I'm calling because my wife is suddenly pregnant, and I'm trying to understand if that's medically plausible. Another pause. Without being indelicate, the probability would be extremely low, less than 5%. We typically recommend IVF in cases like yours. Next, I called my cousin Tyler, who works in digital security. You want me to what? Tyler asked incredulously. Just recover deleted text messages from her cloud backup. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. This is serious, Cade. Are you sure you want to go down this road? I need to know the truth. 2 days later, Tyler called me back. You better sit down for this, he said grimly. The messages between Melissa and Dylan spanned months. Plans to meet, intimate details, and worse, discussions about the pregnancy. Dylan. What if he gets suspicious? Melissa. He won't. He's desperate for a baby. He'll believe it's his. Dylan. And if he wants a paternity test? Melissa. I'll say it questions my loyalty. He'll back down. I felt physically ill. When I got home, Melissa's mother Sandra was there discussing nursery colors. Cade! Sandra embraced me. We were just talking about the baby shower. Isn't it exciting? I managed a weak smile. Sandra, can I ask you something? Has Melissa mentioned her coworker Dylan to you? Sandra's expression changed subtly. The marketing guy? She's mentioned him. Why? No reason, just curious about her work friends. Well, Sandra straightened her blouse. I think it's wonderful she has such supportive colleagues, especially during her pregnancy. Right, did she tell you we'd been having fertility issues? Sandra waved her hand. Sometimes miracles happen when you stop trying so hard. My friend Debbie's daughter. This wasn't a miracle, Sandra, I interrupted. It was an affair. Her face flushed. That's a terrible accusation. Melissa would never. I have proof. My voice was steady now. Messages between them. They've been seeing each other for months. After she stormed out, I called Marcus again. I was right, I said when he answered. The baby isn't mine. What are you going to do? I have a plan, but I need your help. 3 days later, I was ready. Melissa had invited Dylan and several coworkers to our home for a work dinner that was actually a surprise pre-baby celebration. Perfect timing. Everything looks amazing, babe, Melissa said, surveying the dining room. You didn't have to go to all this trouble. It's a special occasion, I replied. Our miracle baby deserves a celebration. The doorbell rang. Jen arrived first, followed by 2 other coworkers. Then came Dylan, looking uncomfortable as he handed Melissa flowers. Congratulations, he mumbled, barely meeting my eyes. Thanks, man, I said, shaking his hand firmly. It means a lot that you're here. During dinner, Melissa kept shooting nervous glances between Dylan and me. I played the perfect host, refilling wine glasses and keeping conversation flowing. So Dylan, I said casually as dessert was served, Melissa tells me you two have been working closely together. He nodded, swallowing hard. Yes, the marketing campaign. It's been intense. I bet it has, I smiled. Late nights, weekend meetings. You've both been so dedicated. Melissa laughed nervously. Honey, no one wants to talk about work now. Actually, I continued, I wanted to thank you, Dylan, for everything you've done for my wife. The table fell silent. Dylan's face paled. What do you mean? He asked. I pulled out my phone. I think you know exactly what I mean. Would you like me to read the messages, or would you prefer to explain to everyone why you're trying to pass off your child as mine? Melissa gasped. Cade, what are you doing? Telling the truth, Melissa. Something you should have tried. Dylan stood up. Look, man, this is a misunderstanding. Is it? So you didn't write, and I quote, what if he wants a paternity test? And Melissa, you didn't respond with, I'll say it questions my loyalty. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Jen covered her mouth with her hand. You went through my messages? Melissa's voice trembled. That's invasion of privacy. Funny how that bothers you more than your infidelity, I replied calmly. Cade, please, Melissa was crying now. We can talk about this privately. Like you talked about me privately, planning how to trick me into raising another man's child? Dylan moved toward the door. I should go. Stay right there, I said firmly. You're as much a part of this as she is. Oh, spare me, I shot back. You knew exactly what you were doing. Both of you did. It just happened, Melissa pleaded. We didn't plan this. Really? Because your texts tell a different story. I scrolled through my phone. Here's one from 3 months ago. I'm tired of pretending with him. Once the baby comes, we'll have options. You're taking everything out of context, Melissa said, her voice rising. Those messages don't mean what you think. Then explain them, I challenged. Explain how they're innocent. Dylan ran his hands through his hair. This is insane. I never meant for any of this to happen. Yet here we are, I replied, both of you plotting behind my back. I never wanted to hurt you, Dylan said, looking genuinely distressed. Funny way of showing it, Marcus interjected from the doorway. I hadn't noticed him arrive. Sleeping with his wife, planning to pass your kid off as his... Melissa whirled on Marcus. Stay out of this. This has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with him, I said. He's the one who showed me the picture of you two kissing at Shoreline. You were spying on me? Melissa's face contorted with rage. Rachel happened to be there, Marcus replied calmly. But nice deflection, trying to make this about us instead of your betrayal. Melissa grabbed my arm. Cade, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I never meant... I pulled away. Never meant what? To get caught? Because you certainly meant to deceive me. I love you, she pleaded. We can work through this. There's nothing to work through. It's over. Dylan finally spoke up. Melissa, we should tell him everything. She whirled around. Shut up. Just shut up. Tell me what? I demanded. The baby. Dylan started. Don't you dare! Melissa lunged at him, slapping his face hard enough to make the others gasp. The assault happened in front of 6 witnesses. Jen immediately called the police while Marcus, who had arrived just moments before, restrained Melissa. Let go of me, she screamed, trying to break free. This is my house. Actually, I said, it's our house, and you just committed assault in front of multiple witnesses. The police arrived within minutes. Officer Rivera took statements while her partner spoke with Melissa in another room. Will you be pressing charges? Officer Rivera asked Dylan, who was holding an ice pack to his face. Yes, he said, avoiding Melissa's glare from across the room, and there's more she needs to answer for. What does that mean? I asked. Dylan looked genuinely remorseful. The pregnancy, it's fake. There is no baby. The room fell silent. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. She bought a false positive test online, said it would force you to stay with her because you wanted a baby so badly. He shook his head. I didn't know at first. When I found out, I wanted to tell you, but she threatened to ruin my career. How long have you known it was fake? Officer Rivera asked. Dylan stared at his hands. About 3 weeks. She told me after I suggested we come clean about our relationship. Said she had an insurance policy to make sure Cade wouldn't leave. So there was never a baby at all? I asked, still processing. The doctor visits, the morning sickness, all fake? All of it, Dylan confirmed. She even downloaded ultrasound images from the internet to show you. I remembered the grainy image on our refrigerator, how proud I'd been. The deception was even deeper than I'd imagined. 2 weeks later, I sat in my attorney's office reviewing divorce papers. Marcus waited in the lobby to take me to lunch afterward. Everything's in order, Lisa, my attorney said. Given the circumstances and evidence, this should be straightforward. She has no claim to the house since it was your inheritance. Outside, Melissa was waiting by my car. She looked terrible, pale and thin. Cade, please, she said as I approached. Can we talk? I made a horrible mistake. Several, actually. I know, and I'm truly sorry. I was scared of losing you. Our fertility issues were putting such a strain on us, and then Dylan and I got close and… Stop! I held up my hand. I don't need explanations. The divorce papers are filed. We can still fix this, she insisted. Start over. I'll do therapy, whatever you want. What I want is for you to accept that actions have consequences. You didn't just cheat. You constructed an elaborate lie to manipulate me into raising another man's child. Then when that fell apart, you created an even bigger lie about being pregnant at all. I was desperate, she cried. Don't throw away 8 years over one mistake. This wasn't one mistake. It was hundreds of deliberate choices day after day. You have exactly what you created, I said, feeling no satisfaction in her pain, only a profound sadness for what could have been. Rebuild your life honestly this time. Marcus approached, standing supportively beside me. You're really choosing this? Melissa gestured at my friend. Throwing away our future? I'm choosing honesty. I'm choosing self-respect. And I'm choosing a future without lies. As we walked away, Marcus squeezed my shoulder. You okay? Getting there, I replied. The truth hurts, but lies destroy. Emma was waiting at the restaurant with Tyler and Jen, who had become an unexpected ally. They stood when we entered, faces full of concern and support. The papers are filed, I announced. It's done. To new beginnings, Emma raised her glass. And to truth, I added, clinking my glass against hers, however painful it might be. You know what's strange? I said after a moment. Part of me is actually grateful. Grateful? Jen looked surprised. For what? For finding out now. Imagine if I'd discovered the truth years later with a child I thought was mine. You're going to be okay, Emma said firmly. Better than okay. As we talked and laughed, I realized something important. Family isn't always who you're married to. Sometimes it's the people who stand by you when everything falls apart, the ones who help you see the truth, however painful it might be. Have you ever had to choose between a comfortable lie and a painful truth? In the end, only one path leads to real freedom. The other is just another kind of prison, one we build ourselves.